Hey everyone, here we are. It's Monday. It feels like Sunday, but it's Monday. It's Memorial Day here in the States. It's a holiday that we have to honor those that have given their lives fighting for the country. It also is pretty much considered the kickoff to summer. This is basically where everybody starts getting the barbecues fired up on Memorial Day weekend. So it's Monday, but it feels like Sunday. Speaking of Sunday and barbecues, you ever heard the song Pleasant Valley Sunday by the Monkees? There's a cool lick in the intro of that song. Well, actually, it's a really good song. Very, very cool song. Very cool intro. And take a listen to it. You may have to suffer through the goofy video, or you may love the goofy video. I'm not so sure. But either way, cool tune. Talks about Sundays, talks about barbecues, life in suburbia. And cool note about that song, it was written or co-written by Carole King. I can't remember who the other writer was on there, but if you look it up, you'll see who it was. And once you realize, once you know that Carole King co-wrote that song, you can definitely hear it in it. Anyway, so here we are, Pleasant Valley Sunday, Monday, something like that. I'm going to do something that some of you have been asking, begging for. This is Bending Hectic by The Smile. I've done a couple Smile songs, and I know that anything that Tom York is associated with is going to be interesting. It's going to be pretty cool. So I am excited to hear this, and I want to get it going. So let's do it. Let's see what we got.
Changing down the gears, I'm slamming on the brakes, of inches of top from the 60s. To a bend now, skidding round the hairpin, the sheer drop down the Italian mountainside. Time is kind of frozen, and you're gazing at the view, and I swear I'm seeing double. Gonna bring me down, no, no way, no how. I'm letting go of the wheel. It might be as well. It might be as well. I've got these things, I've got these arrows, I force myself to. I've got these things, I've got these arrows, I force myself to the ground is coming for me now. We've gone over the edge. If you got something to say, say it now. No one's gonna bring me down, no. No way, no how. I'm letting go of the wheel.
Damn, that was wild. That was really wild. There's so many cool things about this song. So first and foremost, I mean, the thing that you can't escape in this song is the bending of that note, and it's really interesting because at first, in that context, that should be a horrible sound. That should just be a horrible sound. You know, if you didn't know this song and you heard somebody doing that, you'd go, "What are you doing? What is that? You know, what is that?" It's just, it's nothing that's really been done like that before. So the first time you hear it, it's a little startling. You go, you know, what is that? And as the song progressed, I mean, you know, I'm open-minded. So my first thought wasn't like, oh my God, this is what is that sound? My first reaction to that bending was, okay, well, you know, the name of the song is Bending Hectic, so it means something. There's a reason that this is being done. And I found by, I don't know, maybe into the third verse or so as we got into this, or the third stanza, it's not really verse chorus kind of a thing, it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense, and it just became part of the song. It wasn't a startling sound that was really out of context, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It started to make sense with the song. So that was really interesting. And by the time we got to the end with the idea of bending and everything, and also looking at the lyrics, you know, I'm changing down the gears, I'm slamming on the brakes, a vintage soft top from the 60s. We're coming to a bend now. So now lyrically, we're taking this concept of a bend. And that's where all of a sudden I started going, okay, I can kind of feel it now. I feel that bend, you know, and this song is about kind of a shift, whether it's, you know, in a car, you know, taking a bend, or whether your life is taking a bend. I get it. And it all of a sudden, it made me think that, you know what, that bending note makes perfect sense in the context of what this song is about. So I thought that was really cool. And then when we go, I'm letting go of the wheel, it might be as well, it might be as well. I've got all these slings, I've got all these arrows, I force myself to. I've got all these slings, I got all these arrows, I force myself to turn. The ground is coming for me now, we've gone over the edge. So, you know, we could be talking about a lot of things here. You could be talking about a relationship where you've taken the plunge, so to speak. You've gone over the edge. Slings and arrows, you know, it's funny in the context that he says slings and arrows. He's not saying it as if those slings and arrows are pointed towards him. It's almost as if he has his own arrows, his own demons that he's dealing with here. That's the feeling I get when he says, I've got these slings, I've got these arrows. I force myself to turn. So the ground is coming for me now, we've gone over the edge. If you've got something to say it now. No one's going to bring me down. So now this is interesting. So here, you know, lyrically, literally, we're reading that, you know, you're going over the edge, and now we're saying no one's going to bring me down. No way, no how. I'm letting go of the wheel. Despite these slings, despite these arrows, I force myself to turn. Interesting. There's so many different ways you could look at it. No one's going to bring me down. It's almost as if anyone's going to bring me down, it's going to be me. I force myself to turn. So whether you're turning it to a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not quite sure. But again, I don't think it makes sense for me to really try to read too much into the lyrics. I look at it as just getting some inklings into the mind of the composer and what he's saying, and truthfully, when I look into the lyrics, being a musician, I've always been someone who listens to the music, and the lyrics are something I rarely pay attention to under normal circumstances, because my mind is so geared up on what's happening musically that the lyrics are just kind of a distraction to me. And I know there's plenty of other people I know, especially non-musicians, that don't listen to it that way at all, because they're all about the lyrics and the emotional impact that the music is bringing to the lyrics. So they're really focused on the lyrics. And so for me, you know, when I'm doing one of these reactions, I'm looking at the lyrics because I want to understand what's going on with the song to make more sense out of it. Musically, I thought it was really interesting. E chord to an A chord. It was like an E major 7. Interesting voicing where he's actually going down like an E major 7 arpeggio to almost like an A6, and then it sounds like it goes to G sharp to an F sharp. It sounded like it's major 7 to an E, and then occasionally to a B, A, and then back down to that G sharp. That was kind of that B section or that bridge section there. But interesting voicings, and I'd love to see this live. I'd love to see if that's I'm sure it's an actual bend, you know, that he's bending up to that note, but that's a pretty brutal bend to do something like that, because you run the risk of breaking the string. I'm not even going to try it on this guitar because, number one, I don't want to bust a string. I don't want to put my finger through that. But you know, I if I had a guitar with a lighter gauge string, I probably would try it. But anyway, let's see what we got. Let's take a peek at the music. Let me start it from the beginning again, and let's see what we got. So I'm hearing it sounds like I'm wondering if there's a different tuning, because that's kind of hard to do. No, that would be right. He must be using a different tuning. I've got big fingers, so you've got to hit these two notes, and there's no way you're going to bar it because you got to let this E string ring. So I'm lucky I have a big enough finger that I can put one finger down and hit two strings, but I'm not sure that's what they're doing. I'm wondering if they have the guitar tuned a little differently. So let's keep going. Let's see what else is going on there. That's so pretty, right? So you got an A major 7. So the two sounds that we're hearing are, and then we're going to, I'm not sure how you could voice it here. I don't hear that. All right, that I want to hear what that is. I mean, okay, so this is what the song is all about. So he's okay. It's not bad. So he's going up a minor third, but I don't think he's doing that while he's. He'd have to be going. And ending up on. Yeah, ending up on that note with the bend. So, but he. Would be two guitars doing that, right? You can't do that while you're playing that chord. I'd have to go up one more half step.
Changing down gears.
So nice. So that's just.
Slamming on the brakes.
It doesn't sound. It sounds
of inches of top
It just fits right into the song.
from the 60s.
Do you hear that?
Top from the 60s.
Do you hear when he switched the chord there? Yeah.
60s.
That was a G natural. He kind of just nicked an open string there.
We're coming to a bend now.
This is where it made sense.
Around the hairpin.
We're coming to a bend. It just works.
She'll drop
just works.
down
At that point, it was like, okay,
mountainside.
all right. Here we go, G sharp. That's new. We're back to there.
Time is kind of frozen. And you're gazing at the view.
Up to this.
And I swear I'm seeing double.
The bass. Isn't that nice? Going up to the thirds, kind of sliding up to there. It's so nice.
No one's gonna bring me down. No. No way, no how.
No, it's gonna bring me down. Then we go down.
I'm letting go of the wheel.
Back to that G sharp.
'Cause it might be as well. It might be as well.
This is unusual. B, A. So now this is Phrygian. We're kind of in a Phrygian thing, at least that. Interesting, but and then to a major 7, right? He's doing something. So interesting. So I noticed that with a lot of Radiohead songs, is that the chords will be moving in kind of a familiar fashion, but the flavor of the chord, the makeup of the chord is not what you would expect in that key. So when you have this, especially if you were in E, so here we are in E doing this. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward harmonically. But usually when you hear this chord here is used as kind of like a surprise thing, and it's going to go normally to one or two places. So if you're in E and A, it may want to be the 5 chord to the minor chord in that key, or it may just want to be to fake you out, but instead of go to the C sharp, goes up to that. That's a very strong thing. But to go here, wait a minute, what is this? Back to what is that? So that's just kind of taking the tonal center of the song and just pushing it into other directions. So it's like, well, you know what? The roots of these chords are things that function, that could be functioning in the key of E, but in the key of E, you wouldn't find this F sharp major 7. And how boring is that? So it's to do what they're doing creates interest. It brings it to a new place, and that's one of the cool things about Tom York and his writing, is that they can take a lot of chances with the harmony, because like I said before, his voice is always kind of floating above the harmony, and it becomes the glue or the thread. It's like a needle going through something. It's the thread that binds it all together. It's fragile, it's thin, not like traditionally you'd have the harmony and the bass and everything like that holding it all together, and the singer is just kind of added to that. It's almost as if he's the harmonic focal point of the song, and the music that's supposed to be, the number one thing in the song is now just colors, emotional colors for him to float over. I mean, that's the feeling I get from this kind of a thing. So I think that's really, really cool.
Things I've got these arrows I force myself to. I've got these things I've got these arrows I force myself.
Does that Phrygian feel? That's Mixolydian's, that sound right there. Isn't that weird? So, there we go. Listen to that. So what's really interesting, he's going. That's what he's singing. That's Mixolydian. That's Mixolydian mode. Right? But then he goes. That gives it a Phrygian feeling. So it's, this is not like they're trying to do this consciously, but if you're going to analyze it and you say, why does it sound so freaking cool? That's why. It here, we're hearing. And then when we go, that Phrygian mode. So it's really cool. It's really cool. I mean, yeah, again, that's nothing that they thought about when they put this together. They just said, these chords sound fantastic, and this sounds cool. And truthfully, that's the way music should be written. You let your ear tell you what are the emotional colors that you want to paint with, and then it's for people, after the fact to go through and go, oh, that's Phrygian mode over here, and oh, that's Mixolydian mode, and you know what? They were just chords that sounded cool. It just, so it's a way to kind of tinker and understand why some things sound good, but you don't need to think about any of that to enjoy the song. It's just, it's just, for me as being a musician, that's something I get a big kick out of. I'm going to go back a little bit and listen to that transition again back into the A section. There's your Mixolydian. Now we're back to major. Kind of a scale. He's following half steps on those bends that are on the.
We've gone over the edge.
So it's going up by half steps on each quarter note, but he's kind of swooping up to it in that bend. That's why it makes sense.
Say it now.
Then he's up to that. Then he's up to that. So it's, it's kind of loosey-goosey, but that's kind of what it's following. So even that makes sense.
No way, no how.
comes in. Yeah, this is very cool. To me, this is going over the edge, right? And it's interesting that it ends on that A. So, and you can barely hear the major 7th in there, because when you have that much distortion, really just hear. And then they just stay there on that A. So really, really interesting. I love that section where they go to that G sharp, and then they let it build, and they let it build, and they let it build, and then they come in full blast. And that to me is the, call me crazy, but I hear a little Beatle-esque thing, like a Day in the Life. The lead guitar was building up, and some of those notes were very similar into my ear as the strings in at the Day in the Life when they're going higher and higher and higher, and you get this whole this whole building of sound, so it kind of brings me back to that kind of an idea, and it just works so well in this context, because it's almost as if, if you're visually going to think of this song and you're going to think about going over the edge, and you hear that one G sharp, you hear the strings coming in, and then as they come in, and then they build and they build and they build, and then all of a sudden the whole band comes in, boom, it's like you hit the bottom, and now you're into a whole new thing, a whole new place. You've made your choice, you've gone over the edge, and you're there now, and despite these slings, despite these arrows, I've forced myself to turn. It's almost as if, you're going through this catharsis, or you're going through some kind of a painful period in your life where your next step is going to be having to let go and to go over the edge in whatever way, shape, or form that might be. So that's kind of what I hear in this song. I'm sure, everybody hears their own thing in here. And if you guys know maybe the story behind this song, maybe there's something very literal that this person's going through. But for me, this is what I enjoy about music. I can listen to something and say, this is what it means to me. I can listen to this and say, I know how this relates to me in my life. And you know, an interesting point is, I was talking a couple videos ago, I don't remember which one, about the way that I listen to music is a lot different than most people listen to music, because as a musician, especially when I was young, the goal was to learn something. Every time I listened to something was to learn something, whether it was lyrically or whether it was musically, or whether it was just how it tinkers with your emotions, and you know what made that happen and how does that work. So when I listen to something like this, I listen to it the same way. I go, wow, that is so cool the way that they did that. That's so cool. This is the way it makes me feel. So I listen to this song, I look at the lyrics, and I go, this is how it applies to me. Now I'm going to take these ideas and make them a part of me. I mean, that's what music is. That's what life is. That's what literature is. That's what art is. You look at the world and you take it in, and then if you feel the need to express yourself, it comes out in some new, interesting way. So I listen to this and I look at this and I go, this is how this affects me. This is how I can relate to it. And this is how it means something to me in my life. So I think it's really cool. It's really cool. I like this song a lot. And I think one of the things I like about it is that it was challenging to my ear. Because like I said, the first time I heard the bending notes, I thought, what is this? You know, what is that? And by the time the song was halfway through, I was like, oh, no kidding. Huh. Interesting. And like I said, it was like a learning experience to listen to this and go, wow, I didn't know that. And so very cool. Very cool. So not only do I like this song, I like the experience of learning something from this song. So I think this is a really cool song, and I thank you guys. Thank you so much for pushing me towards this song and for this band. Yeah, I mean, it's this whole thing has been a learning experience right from our first reaction video. So anyway, thank you. Happy Monday. I really planned on getting a whole bunch done this weekend, and I didn't get much done. I played yesterday, so that day was a complete waste. And today was all about working on the motorcycle and finding that I didn't have the right part. Going to 3 or 4 different auto parts store, nobody has what I need. Stupid little Molex connector pins. And I had to order them on Amazon, so they'll be here tomorrow. So I started there, then I decided time to clean out the garage. You know, it was Memorial Day, so it was the kickoff of summer, so to speak, and the paying your respects. There's usually a parade. There's usually activities at the cemetery where there's a prayer said for the fallen soldiers. So anyway, if any of you out there are in the services, thank you for your service, and my respects for everybody who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So anyway, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you pretty soon. Take care.